I'm going to share my screen with you and we'll take a listen. Oh wait, I forgot to share computer audio. I always do that.
All these systems, right?
Yeah. Okay, so your song is called Maple Syrup. I couldn't help it. You told me this beautiful story about maple syrup and about your dad. And I just felt like that's what I needed to focus on. And I hope that you enjoy it.
Awesome. Thanks, Maria.
Yeah. The ink is fading, but I know your hand that wrote the words forever on that masking tape. Familiar home at the end of the road, where you taught me how to grow old and in love with life. A million stars fill the night sky, the soft breeze leaving goosebumps on my skin. And I know that you're still mine, watching over me, holding me tight as I let go and step into a different world, stepping into the unknown. But I'm sure we'll always share this. We'll always share this magic in our fingertips. The ink is fading as the years pass. I knew this could never last. Everything must grow, even the grass. I'm closing my eyes and just listening, following my heartbeat, leading me to where I should be as I let go and step into a different world, stepping into the unknown. But I'm sure we'll always share this. We'll always share this magic in our fingertips. And I know I could never lose this. And I know I'm the maker of my own bliss. And I know no matter where I go, I can always come home as I let go and step into a different world, stepping into the unknown. But I'm sure we'll always share this. We'll always share this magic in our fingertips.
Maria, I feel like I can't even talk to you. That was awesome. Gosh, so many of the lyrics jump out already. I can't wait to just like turn them into a poem and throw them on my wall. Just as much as hear the music. I feel like you captured our conversations so well. Thank you for that. I can't hear you. It doesn't say it's muted though.
Because I muted myself from my mic. It's that whole thing again.
Oh, too funny.
uh, no, honestly, thank you though, because that story that you shared with me, I thought about it for so long, and
Yeah,
it brings tears to my eyes, and I've never even met.
I was pretty much, I don't know how much I was definitely just crying the whole time. I mean, I don't care about crying anymore. That's one thing the grief taught me is just let it cry, like let the tears roll. It doesn't, you're not going to stop them,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
until they're ready. But that was just so great, really. So many of those lyrics, I feel like for sure spoke intimately to, you know, my connection to my dad, but on the flip side, like the connection that I want to give to others and that I want people to remind themselves is always available to them. You just sometimes do have to find it. You know, admit that, like you were talking about with your loneliness, that like admit that, hey, I'm a little lonely. I need some connection. Like there's so much
Yeah.
power in admitting that. And I feel like just as much as that song selfishly talked about, you know, my connection to home and my dad and nature, it I hope for others resonates that they can take it, you know, in their own in their own words and interpretation. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was so much fun.
Oh my gosh. Can you, if you want to, would you be able to share that story that you shared with me that inspired the song?
Um, how far like the whole thing about just his last like winter.
Yeah. If you're feeling up for it.
Yeah, yeah, we can try it. um, um, yeah, so maple syrup is just one of those like super awesome, crazy passions of mine. It stems from when we were little. My dad made a lot of maple syrup, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. I remember going out and eating my dinner outside in the sugar shack, which I just thought in February, you know, January, depending on the year, March. It was just like so unique and so fun. And it was also just time that dad and I hung out. I couldn't tell you anything about what we talked about, but I just remember the feeling of being all bundled up and eating my dinner outside. And it was like just such a fun memory. So we made it for a handful of years, and then, you know, as we say, right, life happens, and it stopped for, I bet, maybe almost 10 years at least, if not probably longer, maybe 15. Um, and the winter of 2014, 15, my dad and I were just kind of talking about it again. And it was like, Dad, like, that's one of the things I really want to do again. That's one of like, it almost felt like a dream that I just didn't know how it was going to happen though, because it takes a little bit of work. And at that point, you know, like we were in different places and, but we just kind of kept talking about it. And so I don't even remember, it was probably February or March or something. One day he was just like, you know, do you want to help me make some maple syrup this year? I thought maybe I'd just tap the tree out back and we'll see what happens. And so I was like, of course. You know, I mean, we're thinking in my head, we're probably not gonna get that much. It's just one tree. Um, because it takes, the average saying is it takes 40 gallons of sap to give 1 gallon of syrup. And there are a lot of different factors into that, but obviously that's a lot of sap to pull from one tree. So, um, but I said, sure, Dad, let's do it. And so kind of just left it at that. And he tapped the tree and didn't, you know, told me like updates, but wasn't really specific. And then a couple weeks went by and I came home and he had given, he set on the table one of our bottles that we had kind of always put the syrup in with a piece of masking tape on it, which is like so my father, right? You know, if you would wrap gifts in cartoon paper and, you know, things like that. Why buy fancy wrapping paper when you can have fun, you know, use the funnies? And so his label was a piece of masking tape, and on it he just put, "Thanks for the enthusiasm it takes to make this." Um, and so I just was in my head thought, well, I didn't do anything special other than say selfishly, like, I want to make it again, right? Like, this is my dream to do. So it was just one of those really neat moments. And I kept the masking tape. And I'm not sure how or where or why, truthfully, because, Dad had written notes or things, and I didn't necessarily save it, but there was definitely a special moment about that masking tape label. Um, but let's see, then in that fall was the fall that my dad passed away. And so I think, gosh, there was like no coincidence that for whatever 10 or 15 years that we hadn't made maple syrup, that he just tried it. We didn't know that he was going to die that year, so it makes it even, more special of a moment and story. Why I saved it of all pieces of masking tape, I don't know, other than I knew it just felt special in the moment. But also just to think that my dad's last winter, he was able to make maple syrup, which was a lot of work, but something he loved too. So I think since his passing, it's just increased my connection and my interest, of maple syrup. And it's always just such a funny response when I tell people, "Oh, I love maple syrup," and not Aunt Jemima. Like, I think the energy that I receive when I talk about it to people it just fuels my own energy on it even more. But that was definitely one of those unique to us, right? Life moments that I know not everybody makes maple syrup or has this kind of thing. So if there was a saying or anything like that, just to receive it from Dad in regards to thanks for all the enthusiasm it takes to make this, was pretty special. And I think we can easily turn that into anything we're going through, right? When you give it enthusiasm, energy, time, attention, love, intention for what you're doing in that moment, it's rewarded, it's appreciated. So I still have the masking tape framed, and as your song so eloquently alluded to, the ink is fading.
Yep.
And it's getting smaller and smaller, but I think it'll just be a forever frame. Nobody else might ever understand, be able to read any part of it, but the story can be told for sure. But to me, it's one of those just visual mementos. So it doesn't even matter if you can't read it. I know what it says. So it certainly has become one of those treasures that will go with me. And I think has also really inspired and pushed kind of my gamut to want to try maple syrup. So I don't even think I've told you this update, but I asked my mom if she would help me this winter to just try it.
Oh my gosh.
So she agreed. But it's so funny when you tackle something that is second nature, but someone else always did it. It's like when you're the passenger and someone always drives you from point A to point B, you're like, oh yeah, I can get there. But when you suddenly have to drive it, it's a whole different experience. And so Dad was always the one who was in kind of control of the maple syrup, system. We were just the passengers, eager and ready to support, jump in, do what we needed to do. So we'll see how it goes. I'm sure I'll keep you updated. Even if we'll just tap probably 1 or 2 trees and just see what happens.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's so full circle. Oh.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Athena, let us know, how can we follow along on your journey and stay up to date with this maple syrup adventure that's about to happen?
pretty much everything that I share or express right now is really on Facebook, and it's called Rooted in This Moment.
Oh my gosh,
And
awesome.
so, yep, I will track and post, and we'll kind of just see how much I can stay rooted in my own moment, right? You know,
Hmm.
and all of this. Um, but but yeah, and thank you, Maria. You have such a great, great gift.
Oh my gosh, you're too sweet. I'm just so happy that this song really has been so good for you, and I feel really lucky that I've been able to serve you in this way. It really gives my songwriting purpose, and it keeps me going. So thank you for this.
Yeah, you are welcome.